All right, forget everything you think you know about fantasy. I'm talking before the shiny castles, before the noble elves. There was something much older, way darker, something carved right out of the ice and stone of the north. This isn't just a story. This is the original scream that 1,000 heavy metal anthems were born from. This is the Volsunga saga.
You know, everything you love about fantasy today, the cursed rings, the guys who slay dragons, the epic quests, it all started here, in this raw, brutal, bloody tale. And look, this isn't some simple story of good versus evil. No way. This is a story about greatness smashing headfirst into fate, where every single victory is paid for with blood, and every hero is just walking toward a doom they can't possibly escape.
So, our story, it doesn't kick off with a hero's birth or some grand call to adventure. It starts with a crime. Just a single moment of, divine carelessness that unleashes this poison into the world. A poison made of pure gold that's going to infect every single person it touches for generations.
Now these words are going to echo through the entire saga. They're spoken by a dwarf, Andvari, right after the trickster god Loki steals his entire life's treasure. And you got to understand, this isn't just a threat. It's a prophecy. It's a binding sentence placed on the gold itself, turning it from just, a pile of wealth into an engine of absolute, unstoppable destruction.
Okay, so this is just a chain reaction of terrible decisions, one getting worse than the last. It all starts with the gods, Odin and Loki, acting like total thugs, killing an otter for fun. Turns out, that otter was a shape-shifted dwarf prince, so the price for their little crime is steep. They have to cover the otter's skin completely with gold. Not a single whisker can be showing. So how does Loki get it? He doesn't make it, he steals it. He finds another dwarf, Andvari, and forces him to give up every last piece of his treasure. But Andvari, he tries to hold one thing back, just a single tiny gold ring. Loki, being Loki, takes that too. And that final petty little theft is what seals the deal. Andvari curses that ring to be the absolute doom of anyone who ever owns it.
And this curse, it doesn't waste any time. We're not talking centuries here. The second that gold changes hands, the poison starts to work. The dwarf king who gets the treasure now has the most cursed object in the universe, and it immediately pits his own family against him.
I mean, can you even imagine how fast this happens? 1 minute, the king, Hreidmar, is celebrating this massive payday. The next, his own son, Fafnir, is looking at him not with love, but with pure, naked greed. He just sees the gold. So he kills his own father, takes every last coin, and runs. He doesn't even share it with his brother Regin, who helped him. He takes the whole shebang to this wasteland and just sits on it.
And this is where it gets really wild. This is the Norse idea of corruption made horribly, physically real. See, Fafnir doesn't just act like a monster anymore. He becomes one. His heart gets so twisted up by greed that his body literally follows suit. He transforms into a wyrm, a giant dragon, breathing poison, covered in scales you can't possibly pierce. He's not a man guarding a treasure anymore. He is the curse, made flesh.
All right, for a curse this big, for a monster this terrifying, fate has to cook up an equally epic hero. I'm not just talking about some tough warrior. We're talking about a man descended from the gods themselves, basically born for deeds that people will sing about till the end of time. His name is Sigurd.
So, who is this Sigurd guy? Well, he's basically the ultimate Norse hero. He's not just strong, he's got supernatural gifts. He's got the blood of Odin in his veins, which gives him this crazy wisdom. Oh, and he can understand birds, which, is a pretty handy trick for avoiding ambushes. On top of all that, he's so charismatic that when he talks, you just believe him. The guy was born for greatness, and all he wants to do is find the biggest, baddest challenge out there and prove himself.
And of course, every great hero needs a legendary weapon, right? Sigurd's is called Gram, and its story is as big as his. It was reforged from the pieces of a sword that Odin himself shoved into a tree, a blade only Sigurd's father could pull out before Odin shattered it. So yeah, this thing has a divine pedigree. It's a broken legacy made whole again for one purpose. The saga says it was so long that when Sigurd walked through a field, the tip of the sword would just slice the tops off the rye. This is the only blade in the world that can cut through Fafnir's hide.
So, the stage is set. We've got the monster in his lair, we've got the hero with his magic sword, and their paths are about to collide. But listen, killing the dragon, that's not the end of Sigurd's story. Not even close. In fact, it's just the beginning of the most glorious and the most tragic chapter of his life.
Now, Sigurd doesn't just run in there swinging, he's smart. His foster father, Regin, who is Fafnir's own brother, remember, tells him to dig a pit. So when the giant dragon crawls over to get a drink, Sigurd is hiding underneath. He just thrusts Graham straight up, one perfect strike, right into the dragon's soft underbelly. And as the beast is dying, Sigurd cooks its heart. A tiny drop of the blood gets on his tongue, and bam, the world just opens up. He can understand what the birds are saying, and they immediately start chirping about how his foster father is planning to betray him and about an even greater prize waiting for him.
So the birds, they're talking about a warrior maiden, sleeping on a mountain that's surrounded by a wall of magical fire. This is Brynhild, a Valkyrie. Yeah, one of Odin's own shield maidens. She actually defied him in a battle, so as punishment, he put her into an enchanted sleep. The deal was she'd stay that way, totally powerless, until a man who knew no fear was brave enough to ride through the flames and wake her up.
And Sigurd, he doesn't know the meaning of fear, so he does exactly that. He gets on his horse, Grani, and rides straight through that wall of fire. Inside, he finds her, sleeping in full armor. He takes off her helmet, cuts the chainmail off her body, and she wakes up. And in that one moment, you have two of the most powerful beings in the world meeting for the first time. They fall completely in love, they swear unbreakable oaths to each other, and as his pledge, he gives her the cursed ring of Andvari. Of course he does.
Now this should be the happy ending, right? The hero slays the dragon, gets the treasure, finds his soulmate who's a literal warrior goddess. But you remember that ring, don't you? Andvari's curse is patient. It's got its new owner, and now it's going to use love itself as a weapon to destroy him. The whole thing falls apart because of magic. Sigurd ends up at this other kingdom, and the queen there, she's a sorceress. She sees how incredible Sigurd is and decides she wants him for her own family. So she hands him a drink, a magic potion, brewed to make him forget everything. He drinks it, and his memory of Brynhild, the fire, waking her up, their sacred promise, it's just gone. Wiped totally clean like it never even happened.
What happens next is just a nightmare. With no memory of Brynhild, Sigurd marries the princess of this new kingdom, Gudrun. Then, her brother, Gunnar, decides he wants to marry the famous Brynhild, but he can't get through the flames. So using magic, Sigurd and Gunnar switch shapes. Sigurd, looking just like Gunnar, rides through the flames a second time. He wins Brynhild, but not for himself, for another man. He even lies next to her for 3 nights, but he places his sword between them as a sign of honor. Then he takes back Andvari's ring and leaves. And Brynhild, heartbroken but bound by her oath, agrees to marry Gunnar, thinking he's her hero.
So the trap is set. The deception is total. You've got 2 broken oaths, 2 of the world's greatest heroes tricked into betraying each other, and that cursed ring is basically a ticking time bomb, counting down to one final bloody explosion.
And the way the truth comes out is just devastatingly simple. One day, the 2 queens, Gudrun and Brynhild, are arguing. And to prove her husband is better, Gudrun shows off the ring Sigurd gave her, the ring of Andvari. In that single instant, Brynhild understands everything. It wasn't Gunnar who rode through the fire. It was Sigurd, the love of her life, and he betrayed her. Gave her away, married someone else. All her love, all her grief just curdles into a rage so cold it could burn the world down.
At this point, Brynhild wants one thing and one thing only. Sigurd has to die. She lies to her husband Gunnar, telling him Sigurd dishonored her. Gunnar, who's already scared of Sigurd's power, agrees to the murder. But he and his brother have sworn blood oaths to Sigurd, so they can't do it themselves. Instead, they get their younger brother Guttorm to do it. And to make sure he goes through with it, they feed him this horrible witch's stew of wolf meat and snake flesh to drive him into a mindless killing frenzy.
Guttorm sneaks into Sigurd's room and runs him through with a sword while he's sleeping. But even as he's dying, Sigurd grabs his sword, Graham, and throws it, cutting the assassin clean in 2. But it's too late. The greatest hero of the age is dead. And when he dies, all of Brynhild's rage just evaporates. And all that's left is this endless ocean of grief. She tells everyone the real story, takes up a sword, and kills herself. Her last command? To be placed on the same funeral pyre as Sigurd, so they can finally be together in death, the way they were supposed to be in life.
And just like that, the curse of Andvari's gold is fulfilled. It brought nothing but death and sorrow to every single person who touched it.
From one stupid crime to a mountain of bodies, the saga shows us a world where fate is king, and where even the greatest love and the most incredible heroism are just fuel for a fire started by greed. So it leaves you with one question, a question that rings true for every story like this. Was any of it worth it?